We're live here. All right, we are live. We are live. Let's see. All right, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
It's the Autumn Robertson Show, live and nationwide. Do you have theme music for this?
I wish I did.
Is there a logo? Is there an Autumn Robertson logo?
I wish we had a title sequence and everything, but you know,
Is
that's
that-
above my pay grade.
Are we hearing this through my phone? I'm sorry.
I might be through my phone.
So welcome to Facebook Live with 10 Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
We thought we'd get on and talk about the latest news out of Hollywood. Yesterday, I believe it happened.
Yeah.
The death of Gilbert Gottfried.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know, this is meteorologist Rich Fields here joining us today. He has had an extensive career in Hollywood,
Yeah.
in LA. You
Long
want to
time.
break down kind of, you know, what you've done?
Yeah,
life?
nine game shows in my lifetime.
9.
I hold the
game
record
shows.
for announcing the most game shows in a single season at 7. Previously held by Johnny Olson. Do you remember that name at all? Does that ring a bell?
No.
I don't expect it to. He passed away long before you were born. But Johnny Olson was the original Mark Goodson announcer. Just every Mark Goodson show back then. Price is Right and a million others. And Johnny held the record before I broke the record in 2007. But
Wow.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
And then after Price is Right, I went on to do Wheel of Fortune. And was that my last game show? Wheel was my last game show, so that was the 9th one. But I got a chance to meet and work with Gilbert a couple of times.
Yeah.
We did a couple of shows together, and for those of you that may not recognize the name, I'm sure you recognize the face.
Yeah.
He was the voice of the Aflac commercials forever. Aflac!
Yeah.
Aflac! And I'll tell you right now, Autumn, and a lot of people may not know that voice was kind of put on.
Really?
Yeah, Gilbert, you know, eating lunch with him or dinner, which I got to do a couple of times. My wife and I actually ate dinner with him one night after we shot another show we'll talk about in a second. But he kind of just talks normal. I mean, he was a married guy.
Yeah.
Children.
So that was kind of like a character voice for him.
It was a persona, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a really sweet guy.
Yeah.
Really, really sweet guy. And I initially met him on a show called Game Show Marathon. Game Show Marathon
okay.
was taped in 2006.
Yeah.
Ricky Lake was the host, and it was 7 different game shows, like over the course of a couple of months.
Yeah.
And Gilbert came in, and he was part of Let's Make a Deal, when we did Let's Make a Deal, which I announced for. He was the Zonk. I don't know if you remember the old Monty Hall, Let's Make a Deal. Let's make a deal.
Yep.
Well, when you didn't pick the right door or the right box, it was and it was a zonk, you know what I mean? So Gilbert, on this particular version of Let's Make a Deal, Gilbert was going to be the zonk. So
Okay.
anytime you didn't pick the right thing, it was
Yes.
it was Gilbert back there. I want it, right. So
How iconic. Yeah.
he was great. If you get a chance, go to YouTube and look up Game Show Marathon.
Yeah.
And Let's Make a Deal, and you'll see clips of it. Or go to, I think it's on my own YouTube page. Just search YouTube for Rich Fields. I think it's there as well. But I was hosting, between shows, I was hosting CBS.com. So I was going behind the scenes of all these different shows that we were shooting. And one particular day, it happened to be Let's Make a Deal, and Gilbert was there. And he was so cool. I said, hey, Gilbert, I said, look, what are you doing here today? And he said, oh, I'm the zonk in these upcoming episodes of Let's Make a Deal. I said, do me a favor and just mess around with me, you know. Let's get on some of these prizes
Yeah.
and let's talk about these stupid prizes we're giving away. And you know, there's a dining room table and stuff, and we messed around there. But one of the things folks will see on the internet, if you look this up, is Gilbert and I on a pair of wave runners.
Oh.
And yeah,
You don't have that picture? Oh,
I don't have that
no.
photo.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
If I'd had a little more, you know, we can do this again another day, and
Yeah.
I'll bring all that in.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool the way they shot it, because you know, it was Gilbert and I on these wave runs, and then they backed out, and you realize we're in a studio, and they're on a trailer. And he's hitting me and beating me, pow, pow, pow. And he was just so...
Very like slapstick type of
Yeah,
comedy,
so very much so. I mean, there was no seriousness about it at all.
Yeah.
But he was so giving as a as an actor and a performer, you know, here I am. I'm just kind of feeling my way through things.
Yeah.
You know, much like we're doing now. On the
Not
Autumn
our
Robertson
lives.
Show.
Just feeling our way.
I expect them to make a logo for you now that flies at the Autumn Robertson Show.
It has to be very game show-like.
Yeah, so we ended up taping that show, and then we broke for lunch, and he and I ate in the commissary at CBS together. There's the that's really nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, yeah, we're heartbroken to announce the passing of our beloved Gilbert Gottfried after a long illness. In addition to being the most iconic voice in comedy, Gilbert was a wonderful husband, brother, friend, and father. A lot of things people didn't realize about him. Didn't realize he was married. Didn't realize he had children.
2 young children too.
Yeah, so a real shock to folks that knew him. You know, certainly started his career as a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, and like you said, like if you didn't know his face, you knew his voice.
Knew his voice,
Yeah.
right? Certainly, he just had that quality about him.
Right.
And
He's visited here, I think.
Oh, was
once.
he?
Yes, he was. He visited Great Day Live, I believe, and
was he doing stand-up in Tampa or something?
Possibly. I'm not exactly sure why he was here, but a few people in the newsroom have pictures with him because he had visited about maybe 2 to 3 years ago.
And look, see now that's you know, there's a lot of folks in Hollywood that, hey, can I get a photo of you? You know what I mean?
He was always down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. He was so cool.
You don't meet a lot of people like that. You know, a lot of
No,
celebrities like that.
No, you don't.
Who are very open, so yeah, let's take a picture.
You know, for whatever reason, you know, they're in a hurry. You know,
Right.
they don't. The girls maybe don't feel like their hair and makeup looks right, and they don't want
Right.
to take a picture right now. I mean, we can all identify with that.
100%, yeah.
So, but he was so cool about that, and a very giving performer and actor.
I think that goes, say a lot about his celebrity. You know, like he knew I think the power of being a celebrity and his kind of the role there. And it's like, okay, I'm a public figure now, so when people see me out, and if they, that's I feel like that's a little bit of a respect thing. You know,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, someone respects me so much that they
Yeah.
want to take a picture, and a lot of people are very scared to go up and ask people, like, hey, can I take a picture with you? So for him to be so open, that really, adds on to his legacy there.
Totally. And the one thing I learned in 20 years in Hollywood was the successful ones are very open to that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are a little not so sure of themselves
Mm-hmm.
or where their career is at, they seem to be the ones that put you off.
Yeah, a little more hoity-toity,
Yeah.
I guess.
I'll tell you a quick story about Roddy. The second announcer of The Price is Right. It was Johnny Olson, Roddy, then me. Rod, the big heavy guy with the sparkly jackets. I have a couple of those jackets, by the way.
Oh, you do. You got to bring him in one
When
day.
he passed away, I got to know the executor and benefactor of his will, and young guy, Lawrence Siegel. He lives up in Albany now, but nonetheless, he gave me a call. He found out I was the new announcer of The Price is Right. He gave me a call, and he said, "Hey, Rich, would you like to come over to Rod's house in North Hollywood?" And I was like, I would love to see that. You know what I mean? And so I go over to this little tiny house, very unassuming in North Hollywood, on a very busy corner. I couldn't believe it. I was really kind of surprised. And Lawrence opened the door and he let me in, and total Rat Pack situation. Pack Rat, not Rat Pack. Rat Pack was.
Rat Pack is like
It wasn't Sammy Davis Jr. and no, it was a pack rat situation. Boxes piled
Just so
through
much
the
stuff.
house. A pathway leading through the house. And I said to Lawrence, I said, "What's in all these boxes?" And he said, "Every one of Rod's shows that he ever taped."
Wow.
He kept not only the tape of the show, he kept the script too.
Wow.
Why, I don't know. I don't know what you would use that stuff for. It's not like he would need it for demo tapes. I mean, he was very successful. He was the voice of Soap. Do you remember the sitcom Soap? No. A long time ago. And then he did No Whammy, No Whammy, No Whammy. God, tip of my tongue.
Now that sounds familiar.
What's the name of that game show? Oh, game show fans hate me right now because I can't think of it. Press Your Luck. Press Your Luck. He was the voice of Press Your Luck with Peter Tamarkin and a bunch of other shows. Price is Right. And so he says, "Would you like to see his wardrobe closet?"
And you're like, of course I would.
Of course I would, exactly. And he says, "Oh, we have to leave the house for that." I said, "What do you mean? Where are we going?" "We're going out back to the garage."
Yeah.
And he takes me out back. There's this little courtyard through his house. He takes me out back to this garage, and doot, 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 all security coded, and oh man, door opens up and the lights automatically come on, big fluorescent lights, and it was a 2.5+ car garage, mammoth, most biggest garage I've ever saw, with really high ceilings.
Yeah, just full of his clothing.
Clothing.
Wow.
It was his closet.
Wow.
And oh, Autumn, on
That's
the
a closet right there.
it was any woman would have loved this closet. On the top rack was all his sparkly jackets, all the way around, all 4 walls. On the middle rack was all his silk shirts, all the way around. And on the bottom rack was all his ties,
Oh my God.
bow ties, tie ties, everything. And I stood there and I couldn't believe it. Was sad.
Yeah.
It wasn't too long after Rod had passed.
Yeah.
I got the job at Price, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 months after Rod passed. And it was sad. You could almost feel the sadness of Rod.
Yeah, you
in
could
there.
feel him in there.
Yeah, totally. And Lawrence said to me, he said, do you want any of these?
So
What
couldn't say
do you
no.
say?
couldn't say
I
no.
wanted them all.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do
Well,
with
you can't, but you don't have that garage in order to, lay everything
Autumn?
out.
200-300 jackets.
Yeah.
Same with the shirts and ties. I was like, yeah, but what am I going to do with all this? He goes, well, that's where I'm at. I don't know what to do with all
So
this.
it's just,
He goes, pick out some of your favorites and just take them. So I did. I took a black tuxedo, sparkly jacket. I took what Rod always referred to as his gay pride jacket. I'll bring it in. It's
was
beautiful.
rainbow?
Yes, beautiful,
Ooh.
beautiful spark. He used to go to Thailand to have all these made.
oh, wow.
So I took 2 or 3.
That was my next question, too. Where do you find all of those kind of, I'm assuming
Hand
most of them
sewn.
are custom,
Yep.
you don't
And he was a
sell 'em.
big man.
Yeah.
Hand sewn, made in Thailand. Rod would vacation there and get a couple jackets every time he went every year.
Wow.
So I don't know how I got off on that.
I mean, that's amazing. That's
Talking
a great
about
story.
Gilbert, but oh, here it is. I was talking about people who give
Yeah.
and are nice with fans. So when I got to The Price is Right, I heard a couple of times that in his latter years, and he wasn't feeling well, Rod, like in an airport, and it used to happen to me all the time, but in an airport, people would say, hey, Rod, call me on down. And no.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it. And when I heard that, I thought, oh, I don't care if I'm off the show for 20 years. If somebody says, call me on down, I'm going to call him on down.
Yeah.
I don't ever want that to get out. But then I found out he was so sick, he died of male breast cancer and colon cancer.
Wow.
So,
It's tragic.
and can you imagine, I mean, can I tell folks? You just had a root canal.
Yes, it did.
And you know the discomfort that night, the next day. Can you imagine going months and months and months
No, I
and
can't
months?
station sneeze back in here. Jim's actually just walked out for the White House.
Ah,
Swap
see?
box.
Up. President's walking out for a press conference. But no, stay here. This is more important. But Gilbert was he was so giving and so great. So then fast forward now to the next game show that he and I did. We were both guests on this show.
I remember this show.
Do you remember Identity with Penn Jillette?
I do. I remember the show.
Why it didn't make it, I don't know, because the premise of it was pretty cool.
Was this at NBC? CBS?
NBC, I
might have been
believe you're
NBC,
right.
Yeah.
I believe it was an NBC show, Identity, and folks out there may remember it. It was
This was
short-lived.
at a time where there were a lot of these types of game shows coming out, I think. So
Saget, Bob Saget had one called 100, something about 100, and it was 100 people back there.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
That came back.
Yeah, well, look at this photo. You'll see the people back behind him, they're all somebodies. Okay, and so Gilbert was one of these people back there. I was one of these people back there, and they had to kind of guess who you were
Oh, that's fun.
without knowing who you were. And some people were disguised, like, Gilbert, obviously people would recognize his face a lot,
Yeah.
but I was behind the scenes. People didn't recognize my face a whole lot, so I wasn't. But anyway, that was the second show Gilbert and I did, and we had dinner that night. My wife and I actually ate dinner with Gilbert that night after taping Identity. And again, I mean, he didn't know my wife from a hole in the wall. He was just really sweet, really giving guy. So I'm sure there's a lot going on the internet of good about Gilbert, and I just wanted to make sure that
I'm only seeing good stuff
Good.
about Gilbert.
Good.
You
That's
know,
good to hear.
Only good stuff, and the people that met him here only had the best things to say, that he was just so nice.
That's fantastic. On a later date, I'll bring in some video. We can roll video on this, can't we?
Yeah, we should be
I'll
able
bring in some video of he and I riding those wave runners
That's that kind
in
of.
a dead
You
studio.
need to post that on Facebook or like on Twitter.
Yeah. Good idea.
A lot of play. A lot of people want to see
Yeah.
that and
But he's going to be missed. He's going to be sorely missed.
Yeah.
Gilbert, rest in peace, my friend.
rest in peace, Gilbert. I'm looking at my comments here. I'm
Yeah.
trying to see.
Folks chiming in. Let's go to the. You can go to the right page.
It's pretty quiet out there this time of day.
But there's a lot of people watching, but they just aren't chiming in.
Yeah. But yeah, if you have any of your Gilbert memories,
Yeah, by
put
all
them
means.
down in the comments. Just once again, just one of those comedians where if you don't know his face, you know his voice, and if you don't know the voice, you know the face.
And if you don't know him, Google him. Google
Yeah.
Gilbert Gottfried
He
stand-up.
has an incredible career. Just he's been in a lot of. We've seen him. He's very visible. But yeah, he has a great stand-up career. And he's just
Which I never
pretty
saw.
legendary.
That'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool to see him on stage.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of. I was floored the first time I saw Don Rickles, because every other word was a cuss word. Louis Anderson too. Louis Anderson. I remember the first time I saw him in Vegas. He come out and he said, "Look, hey, thanks for coming to the show and everybody. And I'm not one of those comedians that drops a cuss word through the whole show. I try to keep it clean." And people were like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "Well, F that." And then he went off, and every other word was a cuss word. So Louis was fantastic. But I don't know about Gilbert. I don't know what kind of stand-up he actually did. But that
I'm
would
sure there's
have
probably
been cool.
some videos on YouTube and somewhere else, maybe some streaming platforms that may have.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a ton out there, and I'm sure his family will put out a whole lot more.
Yeah.
But for his family who may see this at some point, just want you to know that your husband and your dad was fantastic.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Really sweet. So that's what I have.
Yeah. Well.
Thanks for
It was a
letting.
beautiful
Thanks for having me on the
conversation.
Autumn Robertson show. There's the closing logo right there.
Yeah, usually we come in here and talk about weather, but since there's not really much going on today, we thought we would switch it up a little bit, especially with this really heartbreaking news. And we have someone here who, he's our own little celebrity here at 10 today.
I just have memories. That's all I got now.
Oh yeah, my memories. But I mean, they're beautiful memories,
They
and
are.
we talked about so much today, and I learned a lot
Oh
about
my
you.
God, I could go on forever.
Yeah.
I mean, honest to God.
I'm gonna have to have you on every week.
Oh, you should. If
There's a
it's
different
anything
topic.
about Hollywood or shows, I mean, I have worked with so many people, it's insane. And I have pictures of them all. My
Yeah.
personal pictures that I took or my wife took on my camera, so we can use them.
Yeah.
We don't need clearance from anybody.
Yep.
So I have a ton of that. There should be a Richfield show.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't know why it's not called the Richfield Show.
Let's do it before The Price is Right airs on CBS at 11 o'clock. Let's do like a 10:30 half hour.
To draw people in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
It
I'll
fits
throw
the
that out
brand.
there
It
for the
fits-
bigwigs.
It fits the brand. Also, I have some people might want to know, you've been doing game show stuff for
Mm-hmm.
so long. How did you get into meteorology? How did you make that switch?
I was a meteorologist before I got into game shows. It was a means to an end.
I did not know that.
So-
I thought you switched over.
Well, I did radio. Here's the thing.
Well, you have a radio voice.
Thanks. If that good or not, I don't know. I
okay.
said
No, it's
thanks
a great
right away,
thing.
and maybe I shouldn't have.
No. I mean, when you speak, it's like, okay, I feel like you probably had a past in radio, so
Gotcha.
that does make sense.
So I wanted to do The Price is Right all my life. All my
Wow.
life. My mom and dad passed away in '09, and we can't find the tape now. I don't know what happened to it, but there was videotape of me, 9, 10 years old, with my mom's black hairbrush in
man.
Avon, Ohio, outside of Cleveland, standing in front of a TV in the living room going, "A new car! Come on down!" as a kid.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So it was tunnel vision for me, Autumn,
Yeah.
to work with Bob Barker on The Price is Right. So everything I did, going to college, I was going to major in broadcasting. I was going to be a game show host or game show announcer, and I was going to be on the set of The Price is Right. Well, so everything I did was to get to The Price is Right.
Yeah.
So in college, I'm studying broadcasting, and there's no game shows in college,
No.
especially at the University of Florida. There's no curriculum for like entertainment. So I got into radio, figuring, okay, well, I'll get into radio and I'll go out to LA and get into radio, and maybe I'll have a chance to audition for game shows.
Yeah.
So I got into radio, had a decent radio career, did an eon out in Los Angeles on Sunset Boulevard for CBS Radio, and I was going on auditions, but I wasn't getting the right gigs, you know what I mean? And I wasn't getting the right auditions. I wasn't getting game show auditions.
Right.
I was getting little stuff here and there. So to make a long story short, I come back to Florida to work at U92. It was an oldie station here in Tampa, owned by Cox Radio. And, oh no, it wasn't Cox Radio. I'm sorry, take that back. Can't remember the name of the company. Nonetheless, it was a little like rest stop. You know, I thought, well, let me just go back there and have this job. I got let go after 10 years at CBS Radio in Los Angeles because of a format change. You know, not because of bad ratings, nothing that I did wrong. It's just, you know, radio is very unstable.
It is.
If you think TV's tough, radio is really unstable.
Yeah, it is.
So I come back home and I made my mind up. I said, you know what? I'm going to go back out to LA, but I'm going to be on TV this time. How do I get on TV? I'm going to study meteorology. Well, I found out David Letterman was a weatherman before he was plucked. Pat Sajak was a weatherman
A lot of people
before he
started
was
on
plucked.
weather,
A
yeah.
lot of people started in weather.
I don't want to say Diane Keaton. I think that might be wrong. But maybe Barbara Walters.
Oh, really?
Okay, I don't quote me on this, but yes.
We could look it up.
Not Diane Keaton. Sawyer.
Diane Sawyer?
Either Diane Sawyer or Barbara Walters.
I'll be darned.
I don't want to say it out loud because I could be wrong, but yeah, they started out in weather
A
too.
lot of folks. So
a
when
lot of people started out in weather.
So when I found that out, I said, okay, I'm gonna study meteorology. So I went to Mississippi State and started studying meteorology and finished all that. Was almost done, and my agent got a little. I told him, he goes, I'm going to get you a job. This is going to be easy, you know, blah blah blah. I said, no. Before you go get me a job, it needs to be in Southern California.
Yep.
Because
that's where the game shows
I want.
are.
Thank you.
The
And
goal.
so he was like, hey,
still the same.
you're tying my hands here, man. You know, that cuts down on the number of
On a
jobs.
significant number of jobs.
Significantly.
It's like, okay, if I'm going to get a job, I'm going to go to market number 2. and like,
Well,
there's nothing else.
Well, that didn't happen. So he calls me up and he says, hey, I've got a job opening in Southern California. And you can have it if you want. She loved your tape. She likes your headshot. She wants to interview with you. I said, where? He goes, well, I said, Los Angeles? You got to be kidding me. He said, oh, no. Oh, it's not Los Angeles. Palm Springs.
Oh, yeah.
And I think at the time it was market 134.
Sounds about right.
132, something like that. And he told me, I guess this is like market 134. Are you kidding me? And I was like, I'll take it. He was like, what do you mean you'll take it? I said, look, it's 90 minutes from Palm Springs to LA. I can
close
drive.
enough.
Yes, I can drive and audition. So I take this job. I work my way up in a year and a half or 2 years to chief meteorologist there, and
Nice.
Roddy passes away.
Oh, wow.
And everybody that knows me, there's folks probably watching from Clearwater Central Catholic, where I went to high school, and Clearwater High, where I went to high school, even Gainesville, University of Florida, who are probably watching this right now going, he told me someday he was going to work, because I told everybody,
Yep.
I'm going to work on The Price is Right one day. So everybody in this newsroom knew. And we're getting ready to do the 11 o'clock news, and Eric Sandoval was our anchor at the time. He's now over at WESH over in Orlando. And he comes over, and this is the days of AP, Rip and Read,
Yep.
you remember? And he brought over this ripped piece of paper off the AP wire machine, and the slug line said Hollywood in all black and ...
Wow.
The announcer of The Price is Right, Roddy, has just passed away.
Wow.
And he laid it down in front of me on the desk, and I looked at it and I read it, and he says right away, he goes, what are you going to do?
Wow.
Because everyone knew.
Yeah.
I said, this was on a Friday. I said, Monday morning, I'm calling CBS.
Wow.
And I watched the show Monday. I waited for the credits. You know, executive producer Bob Barker, co-executive producer Roger Dobkowitz. So I wrote that name down, and I called CBS. I said, hi, Roger Dobkowitz, please. Oh, he works in the Price is Right trailer with Fremantle Media. Here's that number. I call that number. Hi, Roger Dobkowitz, please. Just a minute. You know, one ringy-dingy, two ringy-dingy. Hi, it's Roger. And I'm not making fun of Roger by doing his voice. He had a certain patter and timbre to his voice.
Yeah.
Is it timbre or timbre? Timbre.
Yeah, it's not timber.
And just the sweetest man on the planet. And I said, Roger, you don't know me from a hole in the wall, but I used to do a Mark Goodson game show down in Florida called the Florida Lottery's Flamingo Fortune. The Florida Lottery's Flamingo Fortune. And I did it for years down here. It was a lottery.
I bet people, if they're
Oh yeah, if
people
you're
from Florida,
if
they
you're an
know
old
that.
timer here in Florida, you probably remember Flamingo Fortune.
Yep.
And he said, really? I said, yeah. I said, look, you know, I'm not being a vulture here, but I know how production goes.
Yeah.
I realize Rod has just passed away, but I'm sure production's going on. He said, in fact, it is. And we're kind of, you know, in a spot. I said, well, I want to get myself in front of you and Mr. Barker. How do I need to do that? And he said, well, send me a tape. We want to hear what you sound like. And I said, what do you want? You want radio stuff? You want Flamingo Fortune game show stuff? He says, a little both. Send me some of both. So this is the day of CDs. We're out of sending cassettes as demo to people. Now we're sending CDs to folks, burning CDs on our computers. And so I did. I burned a CD of some stuff and sent it off. And like, you know, too long went by, like a couple of weeks. And my wife was like, well, are you going to call Roger? Are you going to call The Price is Right and see if they ever got this? And I said, okay, today's the day I'm going to do it. And that afternoon, Roger calls and says, hey, we got your CD. We like what we heard. We want to take it to the next level. And I said, what's that? He said, I'm going to send you a copy of the show and the script. And I want you to do all Rod's parts. You know, take Rod out, put you in, send me back. You know, I worked at a TV station in Palm Springs. It's an easy production. So I did that. I received this script from him and so forth, and the tape, and I recut all of Rod's parts. I sent that back off, and again, too long. You know, when you're dogging for a job and you're waiting to hear back on people, you're in a quandary. You're like, do I call? Do I?
You don't want to bug.
You don't want to bug them.
But then also you want to be on top of things. too.
Yes, squeaky spring gets the grease, right?
Yep.
At least that's what my dad always told me. So
That's a good one.
So again, I'm a day from thinking, okay, tomorrow's the day. I've got to call him tomorrow because it's just gone too long, 10 days, maybe more. And Roger calls. And he says, hey, hi, Rich. I said, hi, Roger. I said, he goes, well, Mr. Barker and I looked at your tape, and we like what we heard. And we want to take it to the next level. And I said, well, what's that? And he goes, we want you to come in and do some auditions with Mr. Barker. And I was like, well, sure. And by the way, KPSP, the CBS affiliate in Palm Springs that I was working for, had no idea I was doing this. At least
but the newsroom knew that. Like
the
this was
newsroom
your
knew,
goal.
right. But the GM, the news director, Aaron Gahuli, God bless you, Aaron. You and the GM let me off the hook because I still had time on my contract. But I'm going ahead too far. But anyway, so he says, we want you to come in and do some auditions with Bob. I said, sure. You know, when? And he was like, Monday. This was like on a Thursday. And I was like, oh, boy. And he said, can you do it? Can you make it? I said, yeah. He goes, don't you have to tell somebody at CBS 2?
They'll figure it out.
And I said, well, yes. I think I'll just take some PTO, you know, some paid time off. And so I did that. I took some sick days or something like that, and I went to Hollywood. Oh, I said to Roger, I said, these auditions are they to be taped? Oh, these are full shows that are going to air.
Oh,
I about
that's the audition.
I about crapped. I swear, it was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm going to be on the air with Bob. I thought it was just well, yes, it was an audition, but they were live. They were on the air auditions. And so,
Now that's an audition.
oh my God. So he said, look, I said, how many, or when am I taping this audition? He goes, well, it's not this, you're going to do the whole week. You're going to do,
Wow. So
we
it's
do
kind of
two
like
a day.
A test. run.
Yes. We tape 2 shows a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We tape 6 shows a week.
Oh,
You're
wow.
going to do 6 shows.
Wow.
So bring 6 suits, 6 changes of clothes, and plan for the long haul. Oh man, I was so excited and frightened all at the same time.
Yeah, but I mean that was your dream taking
Nuts, nuts,
Quickly,
just,
like
just
that.
nuts. So I go to Hollywood, I get a hotel room, and I go to CBS and I tape these shows, and I go back to Palm Springs after the 3rd day. It's still, no, you know, I have told no one yet. I go back to work at CBS 2 doing weather, and my wife said, you know, these shows are going to air. But they're taped months ahead of time, 3-4 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I knew I had quite a long lag time to clear all this and kind of let them in on what was going on. Well, before I could do that, first couple shows aired, and they called me back. And they said, Mr. Barker, why don't you come in and do another week's worth of shows?
Gosh, okay.
Now I'm like, oh boy, I got to tell somebody.
Yeah, because I mean, you can't be taking another round of sick time and not tell anybody. You're going to be flagged.
So
or keep me wrong
right,
because I've been
right.
there for 2
Oh,
weeks.
and Autumn, they were just, it was a brand new station. I mean, startup, brand spanking new. I mean, I was making WSI graphics from scratch with the
Wow.
guy from WSI. Flew out, I mean, base Earth map, and then laying all the county, I mean, from scratch. So it was a brand new startup, and now we're a year and a half or so, you know, into this new startup, and now they're starting to put money into it, like marketing and promotions. And there were billboards all over the Coachella Valley that said things like, you know, Rich was right, you know, with the forecast.
Oh, you had a branding and
you know,
everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know, Rich Fields, you know, CBS 2 nights, you know, and here I am thinking in my head,
Yeah.
I got to exit out of this. This is going to be really tough, you know.
Yeah, because there was no deciding there. It was like, if they give me the job, I'm gone. Because, I mean, that was still the goal.
Totally. Sue me, CBS 2. I'll pay you whatever I need to pay you because I'm gone.
Yeah.
So I got together with the news director and the GM, and they took it so well.
Wow.
And
That's great. That's a blessing.
And I hope this is kind of a lesson to folks out there that may have some kind of trepidation in a similar situation like this. Tell them, you may be shocked in how they react.
Yeah.
Like the GM right away, he was like, really? How can we parlay this? How can we get some mileage out of this? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you're going to take the job if they offer it to you, right? I was like, yeah, Bill. Bill Evans, by the way. I said, yeah, Bill. I mean, if you know, I can exit out with you guys. Well, don't worry about that. But you know, can we get a promo from the stage or something? Can you shoot something from there that? So I said, I don't know. So we called Roger Dobkowitz right from the GM's office that day. The news director sitting there. I said, hi, Roger, Rich Fields. Yes, Rich. I said, look, I'm sitting here with the GM and the news director of CBS 2 Palm Springs. I said, I just told them about my little audition stint and how there's a next one coming up. And they're asking, you know, how we can get some mileage out of this here in Palm Springs. Do you have any ideas? And the GM right away said, what if Rich broadcast live from there and did his weather from CBS, the network?
Wow.
And Roger was like, well, I think I can clear that. And the GM was like, you know, do we need to run a satellite truck? He was like, no, hang on a second. I can get all that from the network. Let me work on this. You know, when do you want to do this? And they were like, you know.
And what year was this?
This was 04.
Okay.
Spring of 04. And so they get the satellite truck for me, and I go back to CBS Los Angeles at the network there on Fairfax and Beverly, and I start doing these live weather hits. Somebody would take care of graphics back at the station, and I would just voice. And it was very little weather, Autumn, I'll tell you that. I would always start by showing them something in CBS you just don't see, like behind the scenes of Young and the Restless or Bold and the Beautiful. I'd go on the sets, hot sets, that they've been done taping for the day and they're taped off. You can't move one thing. You can't move a guy's business card on his desk because they're going to pick up the next day and that business card needs to be exact. So it's called a hot set. So I was taking people into these hot sets, you know, and it's kind of dark, you know, and the cameraman with me, you know, he'd light things up, and I would I'd do stupid stuff like I would take my CBS 2 business card and I'd replace it for the one that was on the desk, or the one that was in his little business card thing, and I'd be like to people, okay, so Monday, watch, you know, Young and the Restless, and you're going to see my business card instead of this guy's, see if anybody catches it or not.
Yeah, but yeah, that was interesting.
I know,
little things.
little stuff. Or like one day I took him down in the vault. Do you know there's vaults below the network?
No.
Well, yeah, there are. There's vaults. You can literally drive down there. You can drive a car down under there, and there's these massive, like, bank vaults. And that's where they keep the valuables that are being given away on the Price is Right, jewelry and expensive stuff, you know, cash, you know, just all this anything of value was down in these vaults. And nobody had ever...
Brand new car.
Well, those were out in the warehouse. A new car. That was not bad, though. And so, so I was taking people all these crazy places. I'd take them onto the roof where the heliport was, and
Yeah.
Craig Ferguson and I would play basketball.
Oh, fun.
You know, just funny little... And then I'd end up doing weather.
Yeah. But like that's stuff that viewers love to see.
I won an Emmy.
Wow. Little flex.
You know, weather, you don't get Emmys in weather. The only way you can get an Emmy in weather if you are listed with news anchors for a particular show. So what they did was...
There's one weather present. There's one now.
Is there?
Yep. But it's just one. One
For the
weather,
market?
I'm not sure if it's for this market, but
Does
I
every
know
market
that
have one now?
possibly, yeah.
So anyway,
Weather presentation or weather forecast.
so it was the 5 o'clock news with Eric Sandoval, Trish O'Dowd, and Rich Fields. And because my name was listed on the award,
You got that.
yeah, I got that Emmy. And I think the reason why it did so well that period was because of these crazy behind-the-scenes
Yeah.
video that I did. I did very little weather. I mean, maybe the last 30 seconds I'd throw out something for the
Yeah.
Coachella Valley.
But it was something different and new. And
Yeah,
that
they
really
were. People
attracted
were riveted.
the
So,
audience.
so Bob ends up picking me, and the rest is
The
history.
rest is history.
Yeah.
What a story. I think that's there's a learning lesson there. A few
Maybe,
a few
hope so.
lessons. A few lessons.
I mean, that's all I got.
If you have a goal.
Oh yeah, tunnel vision it. Laser focus.
Laser
Don't
focus.
shotgun it. Don't try to do a bunch of things to get to it, man. Try to hone in.
And your
And
journey is your journey. It may not be super
Right.
linear. We may have, go this way and that way and this way and that way. But if you have,
You
again,
can-
laser focus.
you can correct.
Right.
So you get sidetracked, whatever it is. You might get let go at a job, so you need to take another one real quick. You might get sidetracked a little bit.
But stay on the path.
Stay on the path. Absolutely, stay on the path. I mean, I'm proof of it right there.
Right.
So, just nuts.
It's a beautiful story.
Thanks, man.
Well, thanks, Rich. Thanks for
Tune
being
in
here.
next time.
For more golden nuggets.
Golden Nuggets.
From
I
Rich
like it.
Fields.
God bless Gilbert Gottfried. Great
Yes,
guy.
Yes. What a beautiful, beautiful man. Beautiful stories from you.
Yeah, rest in peace, man.
And
Really sweet guy.
Of course, if you have any questions for us, just let us know. Follow Rich on his Facebook page. You should be tagged.
Yeah.
And also, I should be tagged.
We'll
as
answer him
well.
in a future Facebook Live right here on the Autumn Robertson Show.
Well, I think we have to spearhead getting that title sequence and the music.
Nice.
I'm gonna have
yes,
you. I'm
theme
gonna put you
music.
on that.
I agree.
Put you on the theme music.
All right, folks. Thank you so much.
All
We'll see you
right.
on TV.
We'll see you on TV, guys. Bye.